Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Mr. Pad Paramahansa, Parujaka Charja Ashtotar to the Sri Srimad, His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. ISKCON BBT founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa, Parujaka Charja Ashtotar to the Sri Srimad, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnavindra ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki Jai, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Okay, yeah, that's the one. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 20th day of February 2024 in San Diego, the glorious appearance day of Lord Varahadev, we are reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are in chapter 5, entitled Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness. We're on text 16, if I'm not mistaken. Bottom of page 243. Jnanena tutad ajnanam yesham nashitam atmanah tesham adityavaj jnanam prakashayati tatparam jnanena tutad ajnanam yesham nashitam atmanah tesham adityavat jnanam prakashayati tatparam jnanena tutad jnanam yesham nashitam atmanah tesham adityavat jnanam prakashayati tatparam jnanena tutad jnanam yesham nashitam atmanah tesham adityavat jnanam prakashayati tatparam. Tapas. Jnanena tutad jnanam yesham nashitam atmanah tesham adityavat jnanam prakashayati tatparam. Jnanena tutad jnanam yesham nashitam atmanah tesham adityavat jnanam prakashayati tatparam. Go ahead. Jnanena tutad jnanam yesham nashitam atmanah tesham adityavat jnanam prakashayati tatparam. Anyone online? No one online. Okay. Word by words. Jnanena, by knowledge. 2, but, tat, that, ajnanam, nescience, yesham, whose, nashitam, is destroyed, atmanaha, of the living entity, tesham, their, adityavat, like the rising sun, jnanam, knowledge, prakashayati, discloses, tatparam, Krishna consciousness. Translation. When, however, one is enlightened with the knowledge by which nescience is destroyed, then his knowledge reveals everything, as the sun lights up everything in the daytime. Okay. Purport. Those who have forgotten Krishna must certainly be bewildered, but those who are in Krishna consciousness are not bewildered at all. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Sarvam Jnana Plavena, Jnanagni Sarvakarmani, and Nahi Jnanena Sadrisham. Knowledge is always highly esteemed. And what is that knowledge? Perfect knowledge is achieved when one surrenders unto Krishna, as is said in the 7th chapter, 19th verse. Bahunam janmanamante jnanvan man prapadyate. After passing through many, many births, when one perfect in knowledge surrenders unto Krishna, or when one attains Krishna consciousness, then everything is revealed to him, as everything is revealed by the sun in the daytime. The living entity is bewildered in so many ways. For instance, when he unceremoniously thinks himself God, he actually falls into the last snare of nescience. If a living entity were God, then how could he become bewildered by nescience? Does God become bewildered by nescience? If so, then nescience, or Satan, would be greater than God. Real knowledge can be obtained from a person who is in perfect Krishna consciousness. Therefore, one has to seek out such a bona fide spiritual master, and under him learn what Krishna consciousness is. For Krishna consciousness will certainly drive away all nescience, as the sun drives away darkness. Even though a person may be in full knowledge that he is not this body, but is transcendental to the body, he still may not be able to discriminate between the soul and the supersoul. However, he can know everything well if he cares to take shelter of the perfect bona fide Krishna conscious spiritual master. One can know God and one's relationship with God only when one actually meets a representative of God. A representative of God never claims that he is God, although he is paid all the respect ordinarily paid to God because he has knowledge of God. One has to learn the distinction between God and the living entity. Lord Sri Krishna therefore stated in the second chapter, 2:12, that every living being is individual and that the Lord also is individual. They were all individuals in the past, they are individuals at present, and they will continue to be individuals in the future, even after liberation. At night we see everything as one in the darkness. But in the daytime, when the sun is up, we see everything in its real identity. Identity with individuality in spiritual life is real knowledge. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Shri Parampara. So what could be a more appropriate verse than that? Om Jnana Timirandasya. That's the first verse to quote. Om Jnana Timirandasya. That I was born in the darkness, Timirandasya of ignorance, Ajnana. Jnananjana Shalakya. Actually what it means is that he took an instrument, that's a medical instrument, and he smeared on opened my eyes, and he smeared this salve of knowledge. And Jnananjana, it's called Jnananjana. Shalakya, that's the instrument. Chakshur unmilitam, thus opening my eyes to truth. Welcome, Abby. Hare Krishna. Jnananjana Shalakya, Chakshur unmilitam yena tasmai shri gurave. I offer my obeisance unto such a guru, a spiritual master. So this comes up again and again in our literatures, the importance of the representative of Krishna in actually opening the door of not real knowledge. You may recall from the previous chapter, text 34, very key verse, Tad vidhi paripatena pariprashnena seveya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. Notice that the word jnana is in there also. So he says, Tad vidhi, if you want to know all about that, what is that? What he just described, all different kinds of sacrifices one can perform in order to become purified and understand Krishna better. So in order to understand that, Tad vidhi pranipatena padiprashnena seveya. You have to surrender. Pranipat is surrender. And how to surrender? With service and inquiries. It's not just service, and it's not just inquiries. Inquiries without the service won't do the trick, because the spiritual master won't be inspired to by your humble attitude, the challenging attitude. I'm not surrendering, I'm not serving, I'll just ask you questions. Prabhupada met so many people like that, in his first early days, challenging, they had their own ideas, crazy ideas. So that idea of surrender. Now this happens at the beginning of Gita. I always come back to this verse of Arjun's, because Arjun's kind of set up the whole speaking of the Gita by not wanting to fight, right? Why didn't he want to fight? Who remembers why he didn't want to fight? He fought so many battles before, but this one was different. What was different about this particular battle? Yeah, all kinds of friends, family. His guru's on the other side, the one who taught him all about fighting. Plus Bhishma Dev, the beloved grandfather figure who helped raise them when they became orphans when their father died. You know. Plus, there's a whole list. There's one verse in the first chapter where there's a list of different figures and their relationship to Arjuna. They're all in the other army. So these are all friends, you know, and relatives and things. And then, of course, in his own army, there's also so many friends and relatives. So Arjuna was just paralyzed by that. Yes?
What was the total number of people that were there on the battlefield?
The numbers?
Yeah, was it?
Millions. It's tens of millions. Yeah, there's something called an akshauhini. An akshauhini is you read about it periodically in Prabhupada's books. It's a division a military division consisting of so many infantry, those who fight on the ground, and then cavalry. You know, you have so many horses, each one has a rider. Then you have so many chariots with, you know, pulled by horses. Elephants are also there. They're all in the thousands and thousands, you know. And so they had all brought all their akshauhinis. There were millions and millions on the battlefield. It was a major world war, really. So, you know, for Arjuna not to fight is a big deal because he's the main fighter on the good guy's side, you know. He's so skilled, he had, you know, so much experience. And Krishna's right there. So, but he's conflicted. It's not the ordinary thing. When on the other side is all enemies and strangers, that's one thing. But when your friends are over there, you know, so he was, then what happened was he had a whole argument based on the Vedas, why he shouldn't fight. Not just my own feelings, but that came up also. Because if I participate in killing all these men, what will happen to the women? Their wives. They'll all be widows. And then what will happen? They'll be unprotected, and eventually we'll have, you know, unwanted and called varnish sankara. Children being born who are not properly educated and protected and can cause havoc in society. We see it here. So that's it's true. So for all these reasons, he said, I can't fight. So he drops his bow. That's a big thing, you know, for a kshatriya to drop his bow. He drops his bow, sits down on the chariot, which is the last thing you do, you know, before a battle. And he says, famously, Govinda, I shall not fight. But then he approaches Krishna, and because he was speaking as a friend, you know, one-on-one, because that was their rasa, friendship, right? So Krishna had already encouraged him, get up, how has this unmanly impotence come upon you, you know? And then he had an argument. All these great warriors on the other side who have esteemed your fighting prowess won't think that you left out of compassion. They'll think you left out of cowardliness. And for one who has been honored, dishonor is worse than death. You know, he says, how will you be able to take that? You know, so anyway, he ends up changing the whole dynamic by putting aside his friendship relation with Krishna and then relating to him as a disciple. So he has this key verse, Karpanya dosho pahatasva bhava prichami tvam dharma sambuddha cheta yakshreyaksyanishtitam bruhitan me shishyasteham sharimam tvam papannam. So that key word at the end of papanna means I surrender. So first he outlines his situation. Karpanya, there's a word you come across in Bhagavad Gita again and again. Kripana. And Kripana is a miser. Someone who is not using his faculties properly, but is just hoarding them, you know. The opposite of Kripana is Brahmana. Brahmana is someone who's wise, who's self-controlled, and is spiritual. So he said, Karpanya is the average. Karpanya dosha, this fault of miserliness has caused my nature as a kshatriya, swabhava, to be lost, to be taken away. In other words, he doesn't want to fight. A kshatriya doesn't want to fight as a kshatriya in name only. Kshatriya is meant to fight no matter what. Someone challenges you, okay, let's fight. You know, not that, you know, no, run away, that's the last thing. So he said, so I'm not myself. I'm not really myself now. Pritchami tvam. So I'm asking you, Pritchami tvam, Dharma Samuda Cheta, to please enlighten us who am Dharma Samuda Cheta, whose consciousness, Cheta, is bewildered, Samuda, completely bewildered, in reference to what is Dharma. See, in the Vedic culture, Dharma is all important. Doing the right thing. Doing the best thing for yourself and for humanity, for your family. That's Dharma, you see. Without Dharma, the society becomes the society of animals. There's a famous verse from the Hitopadesh. Upadesh means instructions, Hita means benefit. Instructions for the benefit of the people in general, you know. So the verse from there that Prabhupada always quotes is Ahara Nidra Bhayamaita Nangsha Samanya Meta Pashubi Samana Dharmo Tesham Adhiko Vishesho Dharme Nihina Pashubi Samana. So what it means is that eating, sleeping, mating, defending, we share these with the animals. Every animal or insect has some kind of strategy. I always refer to my morning walk. This is usually how I get outside during the day. So the morning walk, so you probably don't know because you're not there at that time, but somehow, when I take the walk, it was about 6:30, 6:45. The corner of Garnet and Cass, which is a busy corner, and there's a little restaurant there, is a mess. There's a restaurant there, and whatever trash bins are there have overflowed. And now, I'm not sure why it's happened now, a whole passel of either seagulls or crows. They don't mix. Either the seagulls have taken over and they're, you know, chomping around trying to find something to eat, or the crows come, you know. Of course, when I come clomping around, they all fly away for a minute, you know. So that is, how did I get onto that? Now I forgot. So, okay, so we share these four things with the animals. And if there's no Dharma, the difference is, the saving grace for human beings is Dharma, which is based on higher, you know, moral laws and religious laws and so forth. Animals just follow the instinct. They're hungry, so, you know, they remember, yes, there's a place there where we can usually get something, so all the seagulls come down, you know. And then when there's the danger, I come clomping along, they all fly off for another 5 minutes, and then they come back, you know. So anyway, so Dharma is very important, because without Dharma, we're just animals. This famous phrase, probably you learn, Dvipada Pashu, two-legged animals. We're doing the same thing as the animals are. We're eating, sleeping, planning what to eat, figuring out what to eat, you know, but it's still eating. Sleeping, they sleep in the bed, the animals sleep on the ground, but it's still sleeping. Defending, they all have some strategy for defense, right? The strategy of the birds is to fly away, mostly, you know. Anyways, so Dharma is so important in human society, genuine Dharma. That's the idea. And Arjuna said, I am completely bewildered about Dharma. No. Dharma Samuda Cheta. My consciousness is bewildered about what Dharma is. So now I'm approaching you. It says, please tell me for certain how I can achieve Shreya. Now there's a couple of, you know, there's certain words that you should know. And they come in this case, pairs. Shreyas and Preyas. Shreya is ultimate good, is actual human welfare for yourself and others. Preyas is immediate sense gratification, immediate pleasure in terms of the senses. You see that? Preyas is what children are into. You know, they're busy, you know, playing. That's what they're used to doing. What is this school? I don't know anything about that. Just let me keep playing. But the mothers know that if they just keep playing, you know, then their whole future life will be ruined if they don't go to school. So then they have to drag them to school. Prabhupada said, I didn't want to go to school. My mother, they had to hire a man to come and take Prabhupada to school. You know? He wanted to play. His father gave him a pistol, you know, like a cap pistol, you know. And so he was crying because he wanted another one, so he gave two. Now he had two pistols. You know? You can imagine, bro. I know he's with the Kachoris, you know, eating the kachori. So Shreyas and Preyas. So we should become interested in Shreyas. What is the ultimate good? We have a reflection of that in our own life. That's what the thing is with the parents. Know that if they don't get a good, if my child doesn't get a good education, then eventually he'll be unemployed. He'll be like one of these homeless people. So I have to make him, interested in school somehow, another. So in this case, relatively speaking, Preyas is just playing all day, and Shreyas is studying books like that, But real Shreyas is for your ultimate good of the soul. Because no matter how good you make the arrangement for the body is temporary. It's just a temporary vehicle for the soul. And so the real thing is, how can you regain your eternal life? Krishna. So that comes when you meet a spiritual master who can enlighten you about those things. And that's what, of course, Arjuna is sitting there with the original spiritual master. So that's great. But we can listen in. We can get the same answer. And the current spiritual masters, they just repeat what Krishna said. This is why Bhagavad Gita as it is. Prabhupada makes the point at the beginning of this book, it differs. So, back to our verse at hand here. So what is, which verse did I read? 16, right? Okay. So when, however, so the thing is he's describing in 15. Let's read from 14, 15, just the translation and get the context. The embodied spirit, master of the city of his body, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of action. All this is enacted by the modes of material nature. Nor does the Supreme Lord assume anyone's sinful or pious activities. Embodied beings, however, are bewildered because of the ignorance which covers their real knowledge. So that's what it means to be in Maya. That's why we're here, because of ignorance. We wanted to forget. We wanted to forget Krishna. And everything that's come after that has been occluding our actual understanding. Krishna's with us in the heart, but we can't access him, The Supersoul is there. But we're so absorbed in the externals, the external senses and so many things, life after life after life like that. So the meeting of the actually enlightened soul is a critical factor in our journey out of this darkness. And that was Prabhupada's great gift to us, to give us genuine spiritual knowledge. Because there's so much fake spiritual knowledge going on. I saw this thing on YouTube about mega churches, which are mostly built on this idea of the prosperity gospel, isn't it? It's a huge scam. You've never heard of this? Oh, she can explain it to you. Think of a church, like we got our big crowd here, right? Maybe if we get 150 people packed in here, this is a big festival, Or even a Rath Yatra. How many people come to the Rath Yatra LA? Maybe a few thousand, maybe 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, and a good one, successful. They have a whole stadium full of people. Mega church, mega. They're big, huge. And what do they do in those churches? They're promising the people this prosperity gospel. You just send in. You have to plant the seed. You send in your $100, And yes, of course, I'm proof that it works. That's why I have 3 planes, and I have 4 or 5 cars, and people. And it's not that it's corruption. This is proof that God, He responds to you like that. So you just send in your checks, and this will eventually fructify. You'll become rich too. And you see the people, they look like they're real ecstatic, They feel like they're meeting God, and it's a huge scam, and they're all over the world. It's in Africa and everywhere. It's a total corruption of, Krishna's saying. Give up this chapter. Give up your sense of ownership. Become sannyas. Which means give up your sense of personal me and mine. Right, me and mine. This is what false ego is. We want to regain our real ego, our real sense of self. The false ego is that I am this body, and what's the relation to the body is mine. What are we just studying in the morning? Hiranyakashipu. His very name tells the whole story. He's really, really into gold and soft bedding. And the bed companion, Prabhupada said in a lecture. I'm not making it up. So, just the opposite, and total ignorance, and is covered in this, and that's why his son Prahlad was such a challenge to him, was so angry, because he's showing allegiance to God other than him, to Krishna. So he has tried to get him killed. He can't be killed. So he says, all right, maybe the school will set him straight. But now he's corrupting the other students. And so the whole kingdom is going to get undermined by this. So this can't go on. I'll have to kill him myself, you know. So he has, we'll see in the next chapter. Prahlad, you've always spoken to us about some God. You know, I don't see him. Where is he? Where is he? Is he in this pillar? Yes, Father. He's also in the pillar. He's everywhere. He's in your heart. You know. Yeah, he's in the pillar. I don't believe you. And he takes his fist and he hits that pillar as hard as he can. And out comes Nrsimhadev. And this is, okay, you know, my thread, my sword. So there's a short battle, and then he's disemboweled. Antarmali. We don't have a picture of but LA, they have the picture. You've seen the picture. So he has a garland. What's the garland? Hiranyakashipu's intestines. Yes. That's the antar. Antar means the innards. Innards. Mali, we know. You know, Krishna is Vanamali. He has a garland of forest flowers. Vana means forest, right? So it's pretty. There was a devotee in in Brooklyn one I knew, and his name was Antarmali, and no one knew what his name meant. I didn't learn until years later. Oh, Antarmali. Now I understand. It's a name for Nrsimhadev, wearing the garland of Hiranyakashipu's intestines. Yes, blood everywhere. You know, that's why we don't have the picture in here. But anyway, back to the verse at hand. So Krishna is saying, on the other hand, you know, Jnanatura Jnanam Yesham, like the sun, Adityavaj. When you actually meet a real spiritual master, it's just like this enlightenment. You know, it's light. It lights up everything. You see everything differently, beginning with yourself. Who am I? That's the classic question of it when you approach the Guru. That when Sanatana Goswami approached Lord Chaitanya after he got free from his entanglement in the government, you know, he had been the prime minister of the king. He gave all that up as insignificant, nothing. He went to Vrindavan, but before he got to Vrindavan, he met Lord Chaitanya in Benares. And it's a very good model, because here he is, you know, he's very highly learned. He was very highly placed. He comes from a Saraswata Brahmin family. But he's in the role, he takes the role of someone who's completely ignorant of spiritual matters. And he has I think that's the Bengali. I'm so, you know, they honor me as very learned, but I don't know who I am. So please, who am I, and why are the threefold miseries bringing me so much suffering? That's the basic principle. Who am I? You know, and of course the answer is here at the beginning of the Gita. You're spirit soul. You're not that body. You know, you're not that body, a pure spirit soul. Chant the holy name and attain life's goal. My little contribution to the poetry. But it's true. Every body dies, nobody dies. Or I can make it easy to understand. Every single body dies, nobody dies. Wake up and open your eyes. You're not that body, you're a pure spirit soul. Chant the holy name and attain life's goal. That's Krishna consciousness in a nutshell. But you have to wake up to it. You have to really believe it. You have to understand it. And that comes from hearing, serving, and chanting the holy name. And then you can understand, yeah, I'm not the body. The body is just a coat. It's like a, you know, each of us has a different coat. All these billions and trillions of living entities on this earth, with all different species, just different varieties of coverings of the spirit soul. The spirit souls are all the same, you know, but they have different amounts of coverings. We have the least covering, meaning that our consciousness is more developed. That's why we have the big brain, you know. And with that intelligence, we can understand, no, we don't have to always obey the orders, if you will, of the lower self. The mind and all those senses that are telling me, go here, do there, try to, you know, like that. No, you know, that's the first thing. I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to eat that. I'm going to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. And the wonderful thing is, it doesn't take long from the chanting where those other thoughts and those desires kind of just, it's easy, you know. They're not giving you so much, they're weakened. Well, that conditioning is weakened. And then you know, the enlightenment comes from the hearing. So, so this is what, as the sun lights up everything in the daytime. And so the importance of that person, that representative of Krishna, which he's telling himself here in the previous chapter. If you want to understand what I just explained about all the different kinds of sacrifices, or basically about Krishna consciousness, spiritual life, then tadvidi pranipatena, you have to find a realized soul, one who is tattvadarshi, who's actually seen the truth, who's opened up his third eye or opened up his, spiritual vision, and that person who is also willing to teach. The definition of an acharya. The word acharya is built on the word achar in Sanskrit, which means behavior. It's not just a question of knowing or being enlightened, but also willing to be an example of a spiritual person who others can follow, and being willing to share what you know. So that acharya, Srila Prabhupada is a perfect example. He was certainly enlightened, and he would give all credit to his own spiritual master. And then enlightened means completely following exactly the tenets of the Shastra. Knowing the Shastra, this is another word, knowing the Shastra, living according to its tenets, and then teaching. Those three things. So that meeting such a person is all valuable. There's one verse in the Bhagavatam, it appears twice. There's one that appears almost 5 times, which I'll share with you. That one's really important. So this is so important. It's based on this idea of the importance of contacting a realized soul and then establishing that relationship through surrender and service, and then the knowledge can flow. So it says, Tulyama lavenapi naswargam napunapavang bhagavat sangi sangasya martyanam kimutashisha. That exact verse appears in the 4th canto and in another canto, I forget. That means it's a very important verse. So a moment's association, lava is like a fraction of a second, of association with a bhagavat sangi. Sangha means association, and sangi means an associate. You see? So an associate of whom? Bhagavan, God, of Krishna. Bhagavat sangi sangasya. So a little association with that associate of God, even if it's very minute, very brief, is greater than, cannot be compared, and such cannot be compared. Let me say it the other way. Naswargams, going to heaven cannot be compared with the value of it. Millions of years, and forget it. Naswargam, napunarpavam. Apunarpavam means not coming back, liberation. Even liberation is insignificant in comparison to the value of that moment's association. What to speak of the things of this world, just material things, it doesn't even compare. Now, why is that? Oh, you're here. You're back from wherever you were. Good to see. Because even in that brief encounter, the seed of bhakti can be planted. This is a wonderful verse from Lord Chaitanya's teachings to Rupa Goswami. See, in both, the first thing you learn is something very significant about the guru-disciple relationship. In Sanatana Goswami's he's teaching us, who am I? Why am I suffering? If I don't know this, what's the good of my life? What's the good of my so-called erudition? And he approaches with a straw in his mouth, indicating humility. So Rupa Goswami, Lord Chaitanya tells him, he says, Brahmanda Brahmate Kon Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. This is even more famous than the verse Sanatana said. So this is Lord Chaitanya speaking to Rupa Goswami at the beginning of instructions, which was in Prayag for 10 days, and Sanatana got, I think, a whole month. So there's 4 or 5 chapters in the CC, very significant. The longest teachings of Lord Chaitanya there. So this verse means this. Brahmanda. Now what is a Brahmanda? Who knows? No? Brahma's egg. What? Yeah, but Brahmanda simply means the universe. The universe is like an egg, because we don't know this, but there's coverings around this universe, It's all covered by earth, water, fire, air, ether, very big, and there's just a little space in between comparatively. There's many Brahmas and in many universes. So Brahmanda Brahmate Kon. So those living entities, we're wandering up and down the universe. Sometimes we get up, maybe the Brahma Loka, but we weren't pure enough. We came back down here, then we get down to Patala Loka. Somehow we were able to up and down, up and down. Brahmite, that's wandering. Kon, one, fortunate soul, wandering. Bhagyavan, Bhagya means fortunate, Jiva, soul. Brahmande Brahmate Kon Bhagyavan Jiv, Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. By the prasad, by the mercy of both the Guru and Krishna. By the mercy of Krishna, you get Guru. By the mercy of Guru, you get Krishna. So you need both of them. Bhakti Lata Bij, the seed of the creeper of bhakti. Now, this is an important concept. We're trying to cultivate the desire for Krishna, for the attraction for Krishna, desire for serving Krishna, for hearing about Krishna, chanting about Krishna. Because we have so many other desires we've cultivated in previous lives and in this life that cover that desire. You see? That's why the mirror of the heart is covered with the dust of lust, the dust of material desire. So that has to be cleansed. Sankirtan is the most efficacious way of cleansing it. Who can go off to the Himalayas and meditate, you know? And even then, we'll fail, even if you make it over there, you know. I mean, Radhanath Swami, who was very qualified, he did it. He actually went over there, went up in the Himalayas, meditated, but eventually he came back down. He came back to Vrindavan, and then he met Prabhupada and joined. You know, this incredible story. He was in Bombay, first Bombay Pandal, I think it was. And he wandered in, and he was in the back, and you know, up in the crowd. And Prabhupada told one of his servants, said, "Go and get him and bring him here, so he can sit on the stage." How did he see him so far? What did he see in him that he went into the? He saw the future Radhanath Swami. He hadn't met the devotees even. Anyway, that's a great story. So, by that wandering to get the seed of bhakti. Now, what is that seed? That seed is what we're experiencing here. Is the instructions, the holy name, you see, and the impartation of faith also. That's the important part of it. That the faith that yes, I can practice this. I should practice this process and become more enlightened. So he goes, Bhakti, Guru Krishna Prasada Pe Bhakti Lata Bij, and then he describes the growth of that creeper. The creeper is the creeper of desire, like I say, which ultimately fructifies into love of God, you see, which is the fruit. So we have to be careful. We're cultivating a little garden in our heart, and we have to watch out not to perform offenses, especially the mad elephant offense, offending the pure devotee, you see. Because the mad elephant can kill, you know, can wreck any garden. So what is that creeper of desire? And the weeds we have to pull out. The weeds are latent, you know, desires for things other than Krishna and sinful activities and all these different things. 4 regs you have to follow, you know. So those weeds have to be tending a garden. And what happens to it? It grows and grows and grows and grows and grows and pierces the covering of the universe. And finally it takes shelter at Krishna's lotus feet. And then it fructifies into a fruit. That fruit is the fruit of love of God, which you can taste eternally. It's a wonderful metaphor, analogy. So, and the purports there in that section. This is in the 15th chapter of the Madhya Lila. You know, it's worth looking at. So, since Krishna is talking about Aditya, you know, this knowledge, and Prabhupada mentioned that it has to come through the representative. So Super Soul, we can't access him. We can't hear him in our ordinary saying, but he comes outside as the Shastra and as the Guru, or Gurus actually, the initiating Guru and the instructing Gurus. So the only thing the quality is that they have to be faithful. And Prabhupada said this is why Bhagavad Gita is as it is. Because the purports are simply emphasizing the truth of the actual verse. They're not departing from that and trying to cover it with, you know, some. He gave examples like one interpreter was saying, "Oh, it's a talk between the psychiatrist and his patient." There was another one where Mahatma Gandhi tried to prove nonviolence from here. You know, on the battlefield, the ultimate effect is that Arjuna decides to fight, and that's successful, right? So, but it's true, ahimsa is like a default quality. It's listed amongst the qualities of the devotee. So, but you can't say that's the purpose of the Gita, you know. So, no, we don't want these other interpretations will lead us astray. And so we're fortunate, this Bhagavad Gita as it is, and Prabhupada was a great example and great teacher, and he's planting those seeds even to this day, you know, through his unqualified representatives like me. But even so, if we just stick with the book, you know, and the kirtan, then those seeds are being planted. But it's up to us to cultivate the garden, you know, by following things. Okay, any questions? Sorry, I may get a little far afield here. All right, what did we do? 16, right? We finished 16. That's what I said. What did we do? We did 16. Okay, text 17. Tad buddhiyas tadatmanas tannishtas tad parayanaha gacchant apanudavrittim jnana nirdhuta kalmashaha. When one's intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge are all fixed in the Supreme, then one becomes fully cleansed of misgivings through complete knowledge and thus proceeds straight on the path of liberation. Purport. The supreme transcendental truth is Lord Krishna. The whole Bhagavad Gita centers around the declaration that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the version of all Vedic literature. Paratattva means the Supreme Reality, who is understood by the knowers of the Supreme as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Bhagavan, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the last word in the Absolute. There is nothing more than that. The Lord says in the 7th chapter, Mattak parataram nanyat kinchat asti dhananjaya, which means there is nothing beyond me, O Dhananjaya. Impersonal Brahman is also supported by Krishna. Brahmanohi pratishtaham. This is from the 14th chapter, that I am the basis of the Brahman effulgence. Therefore, in all ways, Krishna is the supreme reality, one whose mind, intelligence, faith, and refuge are always in Krishna, or in other words, one who is fully in Krishna consciousness is undoubtedly washed clean of all misgivings and is in perfect knowledge of everything concerning transcendence. A Krishna-conscious person can thoroughly understand that there is duality, simultaneous identity, and individuality in Krishna. And equipped with such transcendental knowledge, one can make steady progress on the path of liberation. So, intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge. These things are all at our disposal, so to speak. Now we are directing our intelligence, mind, faith in the conditioned state, in refuge, in the fallible soldiers, the famous fallible soldiers from the second canto. In other words, we tried to find safety, yoga and kshema. These two things, yoga and kshema. Yoga is the necessities of life. A house, which I see these poor homeless people, it's so painful, it's so cold sometimes, and they're trying to stay warm, shopping carts full of, it's painful. They don't even have the basics of life, really. But okay, yoga and kshema, food, shelter, etc. And kshema is your security, is your sense of safety, protection from enemies and danger and things like that. So, but when we rely on Krishna to provide those, now we're trying to do those on our own. We're at there's kind of a battle that goes on to try to get those, throughout your life, And the thing is, even if you find it, you have a good job and security, and you have your family and whatever, But that's a false refuge. It's simply a furtherance of the andakupa. It's amazing how sometimes the morning classes are just amplifying the evening classes too. Because Prahlad, he's teaching his friends now all about that. And he gives this incredible analogy of the silkworm. You remember those who do the morning classes? He said, yes, the silkworm, he works very hard to make that cocoon, right? And then he has his home there, and he's protected, and he's very comfortable. Of course, in the Bhagavatam it doesn't mention this, but if he's actually a silkworm, in other words, he's on a silkworm farm or whatever it is, then at a certain point when that cocoon is nicely made, then the proprietor takes all those cocoons and puts them in the boiling water. Where's the safety? You see? That's what this material world is all about. We got it together, I got my house, and everything's doing. But it's all fallible soldiers. That's right at the beginning of the second canto. Dehapatta karatadish atmasanyesh vasatvapi tesham pramuttau nidanam pashyan apinapashyati. This is Shukadev speaking to Purikit right at the beginning, second canto, first chapter. And it's the same lesson again and again. Don't try to take shelter of these material things. They're fallible. So it begins with the body, strong body. Like now in my morning walk, there's so much lessons just taking this morning walk. I passed by a new gym has opened up. And this is a special gym, the yard gym. I haven't been to a gym in 50 years. But this is and even it's so cold and people are coming, they have something that happens at 7, and I'm taking my walk and it's getting to be 6:40, 6:45. And you see couples running toward the yard gym so they'll be on time. Because it's not just a gym where you go in there and you get on a bicycle and work it out, and if they're really good, they have a shower you can do. No. This is, they have trainers in there. And they have music playing, And some of the attraction is the other, svelte ladies who are, there's more going on there than just, So anyway, but that's the first one. What is it? Deha. The body, to make the body strong and healthy, and then I can really enjoy, and death is far away. I don't have to worry about it. And then for normal people, dehapatya, then you have the children, kalatra adishu, kalatra is the wife, etc., includes the children. Kalatra adish, atma sainyeshu, soldiers for the self. These are our soldiers that are defending us against the dangers of this world. Good health, that's the first thing, immune system, right? I'm not saying, but they're asatsu, they're fallible. In other words, you've taken your faith in these, but the body certainly is fallible. But everything else is also. The family, the underkupa, it's not a place of safety. It can be a place of hara when you have, the husband becomes a drunkard or something, or a million different things, or dies. So it's asatsvapi. Tesham pramatta nidanam pashyam. But although, because they're mad, pramatta, you've been covered over by ignorance. This is a materialist. They know from history. You don't have to live in the world very long to understand that your grandfather died, and died, so it's not permanent. But even though they see that, they don't see it. Pashyanapi in the pashyati. It doesn't strike into the heart that they have to find another shelter. They have to look for genuine shelter. It doesn't lead in and of itself to spiritual inquiry. It just leads. I have to find another material shelter, and they're going from one to another. So that's the necessity of the intervention of the Lord Himself or His representatives. Lord Chaitanya came and He Himself started a revolution. And then His followers are also carrying on that revolution. Everything is wrong. That's a big surrender. Everything you thought you knew about what the source of happiness is, who you are, it's a big mistake. That's the first lesson of Gita. You're not the body. Stop identifying with the body. Use the senses to connect the soul to the Supreme Soul. That's the thing. And it's not intuitive. You have to have instruction. You have to have books and everything like that. So that's the lesson there. And what's the conclusion of Shukadev in the beginning there? The first 6 or 8 verses, if that's all you get to read of the Bhagavatam, if you follow them carefully, you go back to Godhead. Because after he teaches Parikka, he praises his question, which was, what should one think about at the time of death? He says, therefore, and I'll end with this because I'm sorry I'm going over here. Tasmat bharata sarvatma bhagavan ishvaro hari shrotavya kriditavishtas smartatak chechitabayam. If you want fearlessness at the time of death, ichita abhayam, then here's what you do. O Bharata, descendant of Bharata, Maharaj Parikka. Sarvatma Bhagavan Ishvara Hari. He gives 4 designations for the person. The Supreme Soul, Super Soul, Bhagavan, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Ishvara, the controller, and Hari, Krishna, that gives a personal name. What should I do about that? Hear about him. That's the first. Shrotavyak, Kirtitavya, chant about him. Smartavya, and remember. The first 3 functions of the bhakti: hearing, chanting, remembering about Krishna. So Maharaj Parikshit's time is of the essence. You know, he's going to die in a few days. So this is the essence of the whole thing. Hear about Krishna. So basically it means just stay put and listen, you know, which is what he's already decided to do. And then he hears the rest of the Bhagavata. But that's good for us too. Here, chant, if you want fearless at the time. Yes, I want fearlessness. That indicates that you know you're not your body. And we've seen with the passing of some of our even contemporaries here, Shamali, Janjanandana, they were fearless. They were completely at peace at that time. They had aids and people helping them remember Krishna, but they were able to face that test, you know, success. So and that comes again from the blessings of meeting and being receptive to the message of Krishna's representative, pure representative. So that's why, you know, attending the Bhagavad Gita class, not because I'm speaking, but because we're reading these nice purports, and then I'm trying to speak on the purport. I do get a little far afield, but I usually go to another purport. It's not like I'm going to my own ideas. We don't have any more time. What to do? I think we have to do. All right, one little poem, really little. Since pleasure is a dream, Krishna is supreme. The aim is prem, and the way is the name. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
That was little.
If you forget everything else, just remember the end, the last little bit. Radhanath Swami liked that one. He heard me do it in a class one time.